Hello, this is Kittens and welcome to my channel. Today I'd like to demonstrate how to convert Excel to XLIFF. XLIFF is a standard format that most of them CAD tools, whether it's online, offline, most of the CAD tools they use it. It's a type of Microsoft XML. One of the variation, there will be like thousands of variations in Microsoft XML, and XLIFF is one of them. And for the detail, I think you can go to, if you type XLIFF Oasis, then you will have its grammar and examples and details documents. So without further ado, I'd like to demonstrate how to do it. In my YouTube description, there is a link to the sample Excel file and the script that I wrote in this video. What I'm using is AutoHotkey version 1. Oh, you have to download and install that first. And then this is called HK Studio, developed by Maestris. So when you search it, when you search Google, you'll be able to download both. So please install both. Let's divide the big segment into smaller ones to get the idea what we'll be doing it. Getting data from Excel and populating it in XLIFF and then saving it. So in order to get data from Excel, what you need to do is ask user to select the Excel file and then save file path, file name, etc. to variable, and then get the data. And populating it XLIFF is, first you have to load XML headers and then create element and append child. And if necessary, designate properties. I'll get more into the properties soon in this video. And saving it, this is about save it to the Excel file path. So let's get deeper into each of it. So first you have to ask user to select the Excel file. How are we going to do that? The function you'll be using is file select file here. And when you type comma, the good thing about these editors is they automatically show you what needs to be typed in to run the function. So here there's output variable. I'll say my Excel full path. And when you do it, the thing you get is the full path, including extension of the file that you've selected. And now, after that, you have to split path, and comma, input variable, which is my Excel full path. And when you put comma again, from here you see the bracket, and everything in this bracket are optional. You can leave it blank, but if you want to assign variables, you have to input the variable name that you want to designate. So here I'll put file name. I don't need, it's a full file name with extension, but I don't need that. I need the file name without extension. And then you type comma, so here, and then you type comma again, that's output DRL. DRL is a path without file name, so I need that. My Excel, just path, and then output extension, I don't need that. and I'll just put file name without extension. I need that. That's my Excel name. And output drive, I don't want that, so you can leave it blank. So here, then it's done. Ask user to select the XLIFF file path. After that, I've saved it in a variable, and I have to get the data from Excel. So here, there's a very interesting about Excel. What you're gonna use here is a thing called COM_object. And when it comes to COM_objects, there is it's like our house, our address. Oh, when you go to Asian countries, I'm from South Korea, but when you go to Asian countries, they address the address backwards. So usually it's a small to large in European countries, like house name, street name, town name, and city and country. But Asian countries is large to small. So this is what you need to do here. So when you see Excel, there is Excel cell range here. The thing is, when you're addressing cell, you have to always start from large, which is Excel sheet, workbook, sheet, and then range level. You can't just directly go to cell. So, for example, if it's A1 cell, what it goes is a application level, and then workbooks level, and then sheets level, and then cell level. So in this case, what you need to do is first, this applies to all Excel files. But here, there's a two-way to access the Excel file with COM_object. The first thing is COM_object create. You can see here, COM_object create or COM_object get. When you need to modify the Excel file, then you always have to use COM_object create. But in this case, for this example, I'll be just getting the file, getting the data from the Excel file. So you don't need to create the Excel COM_object, but you just need to get the data. So I'll be using it because this is much faster than COM_object create. For this time, I won't be using COM_object create, and I'll be using COM_object create when I'm reverting this XLIFF file to Excel later in my video. When it comes to COM_object create, when you're creating COM_object, you have to assign which application level. This is the application level you'll be using. In this case, it will be Excel.application, and it will be my Excel equals. So this is one way to send it, but the second way, and then here you have to assign all the other. You have to load the Excel file and then process it. But when you're getting COM_object get, you can just assign my Excel, and then here there's a link to the file, which is a full path. We need a full path here, so that this code can open the file, access the file, and it will be my Excel full path. So this should be using it. Of course, you have to have your Excel installed in your PC. And then we have the application level, and we'll be going down to workbooks level. But the thing is, in Excel, I realized that when you assign application level, you don't have to address workbooks level. It goes like a hands in hand, a pair. So we'll be starting with sheets level. Oh, my Excel dot sheets 1, the first sheet that we'll be using, and then goes range. Here, say for the demonstration purpose, I'll say A1, it's A2, and value. And let me just quickly show you the example Excel file. It looks like this, and source, note, and target. And source is where our client usually puts the text that needs to be translated. And then here's a note that client, if they want a specific thing, and they put it here. They say I eat an apple, and they say it's a typo. It's not an apple. It's actually a pear. So I have to transfer pear. And source says Ireland is a country. There's Northern Ireland and Ireland for your information. And target is where your translation goes. So that's it. And when I run this file, and gets a value, and for the test purpose, I'll say message box % and see if the value correctly pops up. Delete it and run it again. I eat an apple. That is the correct one. And if I change this to a, let's say V3, and run it, you'll be getting B3 data. There is Northern Ireland and Ireland. There's Northern Ireland and Ireland. Okay. So now you know how to access the data. We'll be populating these data into XLIFF. So now you know how to get the data from Excel file. From here, we will create an XLIFF and load the data that we got from Excel into that XLIFF file. So for Excel, we used COM_OBJECT_GET. But here for XLIFF, we cannot use COM_OBJECT_GET. It has to be COM_OBJECT_CREATE. So, and here goes the variable, and I'll just name it as my XLIFF equals COM_OBJECT_CREATE, and this is the application level. And in this application level, this is the one that you have to remember. It has to be this Microsoft XML 2.document.6.0. I don't know why, but this is the one that only worked. The XML1 didn't work, and like it 5.0 didn't work. It had to be 6.0. And now you have created an XLIFF COM_OBJECT. You have to load the text, the header. So my XLIFF header, and also usually in AutoHotkey, when you assign something, you use this like JavaScript. But here, my XLIFF header is, since it's a text file, is a bit weird to assign this. So it has to be equal this bracket and this bracket. Here, I'll be using, it doesn't have to be exactly the same, but I'll be putting the like one of the standard one that I'm using. So as a header, start with XLIFF and close XLIFF. Then there goes file, and you close file. But for the file and for the cat tool, I'm using cat tool MemoQ, and for MemoQ you have to assign 3 properties. One is original, and the other is source language, and the other is target. And file original, you can put whatever you want to. It could be from my amazing Excel file. And for source language, it would be EN/US. Target language, I'm just gonna, for this time, I'm just gonna put KO/KR, and that's the file. And usually there's a thing called body, close body. And this is the start. And after you have this, you need to load this XLIFF header to my XLIFF. In order to do that, that's my XLIFF dot load XML, and the variable that I just created, header. So there's another way, which is just load my XLIFF header, but that's the case when you are loading the literal XML file. But here is because it's just a text, you have to mention that it's XML. So it's load XML. Now your file has been prepared, and if you want to, you can run it and see if it really works. Sample Excel. Oh, and here I need to change it to my XLIFF. If you want to try it, you can run it. And there is the laundered file. And when you turn it on, and when you load it with Notepad, you will see it's there from Amazing First Language and US Target KOK. It's running. You're gonna put the data into this XLIFF with create element and append child. What I found is the easier way is to assign the level of the node to a variable so that you don't have to call that level, the full level, each time you are assigned the data. So what I mean here is I'm gonna attach trans unit under the body node. So the body node equals my XLIFF dot, here we are using select single node, bracket, double quote, and it will be XLIFF slash file slash body. And note that because these are original, so source language and target, these are just properties. You don't have to mention that here. So you have body node, and we'll be attaching, first we'll be attaching trans unit node. Is always create and then append. So here it's create trans node. I'm going to name it this. Then that's my XLIFF. Create element, which is trans unit. And then here you're using trans node, assigning trans node under body node. So you're mentioning body node here, and append child, and create trans node. So you're first creating the node at whatever the level in your XLIFF. You don't have to specify the level of node here. You just create an element, and after creating it, you are attaching it. Create trans node, and here's a trans node. That is important here is because it's a trans node, you have to assign ID, because for each string there has to be a unique ID. So here for this sample, I'm gonna use trans node dot, the thing you're using is set attribute, and this is just a grammar, it's like this ID, and this equals, because the first one, I'm gonna say the first one, and save it, run it. See here under the body there is a trans unit ID. You can note that there is no closing ID here, which is necessary, and I will get to that later. So now you have trans node, and you'll be attaching 3 nodes, which is source, node, and target. I'm gonna do that now. So here again, same. Create and append. Create, append. So I'm gonna create source node. Same, my XLIFF. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to specify the level, just create it. Create element. This time it's source. Here, source node. And this time you are not attaching to body node, but you are attaching to appending this child to trans node that you've just created. So it's trans node dot append child create source node. And here you have to assign the data from the Excel file. So that grammar is source node. You're using .text, and this equals here my Excel dot sheets 1 dot range. This time it's A2 is a source dot not text value. So we have the source node, and then gonna create nodes node, which is my XLIFF again. Create element named node, and nodes node equals, again you are appending this child to trans node, not body node. Append child. This time create nodes node. And again, you have to put the data into it. So it's a node dot text my Excel sheets 1 dot range. This time it's B2 dot value. And lastly, it's create target node, which translation will be going in. That's my XLIFF. I'll create the element again. It's target, and target node equals trans node and append child create target node. Here target node. So you can stop here, and when you run it, there's a source and source close, and there's a node close. There's target, but no target close. It looks a bit weird. So in order to prevent this, you have to assign the empty value, which is target node dot text equals empty one. Save it and run it. You see here it goes correctly, target. And for the beautification purpose, it has to be like this. Target, body goes here, and source node, but you can do it later after you've exported this file. And honestly, it doesn't really have to do with any of the functioning of this file, so I'll get back to that later. And for today's video, I'll just leave it as it is. So we've done the first line. This is the first line. So let's copy paste this and see maybe the second line. So it's a second trans unit, and ID will be 2, number 2, and again 3 nodes. So this time it's A3, B3, target the same. Save it and run it. You see the file here, and this is the memo queue that I'm using. You can easily drag and drop this file. Sorry, there's a typo here, original. So original. Save, run it again. Typo has been fixed. You now drag and drop it. Neatly goes in, and you can do the translation. See here, I eat an apple. That's the source. And when you see at the bottom, active comments, typo, not apple, is a pear. The second line, there's also note there's Northern Ireland and Ireland. Ooh, that's it. This was a basic introduction to Excel and XLIFF conversion. So this is just a fixed data. But in reality, when you see the file here, source, note, and target column could be the same, but this number of the lines will not be the same. Sometimes it's 2, sometimes it will be 5. There will be more translations here, so you have sometimes 100. It really depends on the task that the client is giving you. In my next video, I'm going to cover how to let computer to decide the number of the strings that you will be importing, and in that case you are not using it one by one. What we'll be doing is the thing called loop. You have to loop this, for example, and you have to loop, and this goes from, for example, from here to here. You're ordering computer to loop. If it's like 100 lines, then loop 100 times. I'm just making things up here as a simple example. And then you're good to go. So my next video, I will be covering how you can let the computer decide the last column and last row, and how to do the loop here. Thank you for watching, and see you in my next video. And link to this Excel file and this code in the YouTube description. Thank you.